can be extended significantly if the forces want it to be so. This is a missile system that actually started development back in 2015. And it was given a capability, the capability was given a push by the late General Bipin Rawat when he was the Chief of the Army Staff. Now, my colleague Akash is with us. Akash, the missiles have successfully tested twice last year, December 21st and December 22nd. Can you tell us more about this? I know it's a quasi-ballistic surface-to-surface missile. What does that mean and what could its impact be in the India-China LAC front?
Right. So, Toya, first of all, both China and Pakistan have this sort of ballistic missiles, and this is very important in terms that when we have borders with both these countries, so now we are going to deploy these missiles at our borders as well fast. Secondly, talking about the particular project, so as you rightly mentioned, this particular missile system, in fact, the project was started in 2015. And after the successful trials and the tests that you have just mentioned, finally, Defense Ministry has given a green signal for the procurement. And we have been given to understand that initially we are, procuring 120 ballistic missiles for armed forces, specifically for the borders. And, Toya, it is important to mention because we know the kind of
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. Amid the ongoing conflict with China along the line of actual control, India has now decided to send a clear message. It has decided to deploy its first tactical ballistic missile, Pralay, at the line of actual control. The Indian government has approved the deployment of 120 Pralay quasi-ballistic surface-to-surface missiles along with the borders, not just with China, but with Pakistan as well. Both the frontiers are going to be fortified. A clear signal to both the countries whose belligerence doesn't seem to end. On one hand, there's China, who despite military negotiations keeps provoking and needling India. On the other frontier, we have Pakistan, who wages a proxy war with tacit support to terror groups to foment trouble in India, especially in Jammu and Kashmir and now even in Punjab with the arms drop that we've had over the last couple of months. Pralay means total destruction in Hindi, and this quasi-ballistic missile promises to do just that whenever put to use. Now, it's developed by the DRDO. Pralay is a canisterized tactical surface-to-surface short-range ballistic missile and has often been compared with the Russian Iskander ballistic missiles. Those are being put to use by Russia against Ukraine ever since they decided to invade it in February this year. So why exactly is this the super firepower that is going to be there in the arsenal of India's military province? Let's take a look of the salient features as far as this Brahmastra goes. It is India's first tactical quasi-ballistic missile. So it puts us in a league of countries that actually has these quasi-ballistic tactical missiles. It has a range of 150 to 500 kilometers. So the range is extremely large. It can carry a conventional warhead of 350 kilograms to 700 kilograms. It's also capable of taking out long-range air defense systems, even modern ones. It can evade detection. It can also target high-value installations and weaponry. And the major plus point of this particular quasi-ballistic missile is that it can hit key installations in actual battlefield areas. These are the reasons why both of our enemies should be wary of carrying out any misadventure against India. Akash, my colleague, now joins us for more on this. Akash, the order for the procurement has been given. 120 are going to be deployed along the border, both with Pakistan and with China. But what is the timeline that we're looking at? Akash? We'll try and reconnect with my colleague Akash there, who's getting us details of the statement that came to the fore from the Ministry of Defense. The Indian government has decided to give a go-ahead and to procure these 120 quasi-ballistic missiles. How is this going to ensure that India's military prowess is bolstered? To discuss that, joining me on this broadcast is Major General Sanjay Mestin, who was a former defense attaché in the Embassy of India in Kabul in Afghanistan. Patikrit Payne, security analyst, also joins us on this broadcast, and Lieutenant General KJ Singh, former General Officer Commanding-in-Chief of the Western Command, also with me. I thank you all for joining us here on this broadcast and sharing your expertise. And General KJ Singh, I'd like to begin with you. As far as this particular firepower goes, we are now in a league of countries that has quasi-ballistic missiles or tactical missiles. China and Pakistan already did so far.
Pooja, firstly, Jai Hind, and thank you for having me on your show. I would say, Der Ayat Drust Ayat. We have delayed because this project has been in the offing. We initially came up with a project called as Prahar, which was in about 2011 or so. And then it was refined and given a go ahead under the title of Pralay in 2015. So for me as a defense analyst, the major takeaways are that firstly, we are joining this league, but we are not joining as beginners. We are actually quite well up in the missile technology. And this is synergizing or cross fertilizing lot of technologies we already have, like on BrahMos missile, which is a cruise missile. Though this is not a cruise missile, it also brings in technologies from K series of missiles and Sagarika, which are for naval application. So we have brought all these things together and we have put this package, and it should send definitely a warning across, because this missile, besides being very accurate, it has got evasive measures. It is near ballistic, and it's only got a short phase outside the realm of ballistic control, and it is inertially guided, and it also has versatility of warheads. So you have a conventional high explosive fragmentation, you have a penetration come blast, and you also have a runway blast come fragmentation denial. So all these things are with us. And Pooja, let me tell you that we are very good in missile technology. So even when it is fielded, it's not going to be like a new batsman taking crease. We have tested them, and it will definitely send a very serious warning across to both China and Pakistan, Pooja.
Especially given the times that we live in and the kind of recent skirmishes and the transgressions of China that we've seen along the line of actual control, the timing especially is extremely significant. And before I get in my other panelists, Akash, my colleague, also joining us on this broadcast. And Akash, like we were discussing, this definitely is a boost to India's arsenal. For now, we know that the procurement has been approved of 120 of these quasi-ballistic missiles, but do we have a timeline in place? So when they can be inducted?
Not exactly, but Poonam, yes, we'll be seeing the deployment of these missiles very soon. And, the timing is very important, Poonam. We know that we are working on the capabilities as far as armed forces are concerned. And given the fact that we have had, this clash on 9th of December, the timing is very important. And we are learning that on 25th of December, Ministry of Defense gave its note to the procurement of 120 Pralay missiles, Pralay ballistic missiles, in fact. And, importantly, talking about the functionality. So, as you rightly mentioned about the range, so it has a range of 150 to 500 kilometers, but importantly, it can actually defeat the interceptors of the enemy. And this is one of the important functionalities. Also, Poonam, this is not the first time when we have had, such a historic decision by the Ministry of Defense. In fact, from last so many years, we are working on Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are working on our capabilities, be it the infrastructure and all other things, specifically when it is about the actual line of control. So we have had all our, preparations done. Also, after this particular clash that was reported on 9th of December, this is a historic decision. And, in officers in the armed forces are looking forward for this particular deployment, because as you rightly mentioned, both Pakistan and China have these missiles, but now India will be having 120 Pralay missiles deployed alongside the actual line of control. And also we are learning that it will be, deployed at the line of control as well.
Absolutely. Akash, thank you so much for getting us the latest, and do keep a track of when exactly these could become a part or these could be inducted, because that definitely is something that our enemies are also going to be watching out for. And Major General Sanjay Maestan, as far as China is concerned, as far as this particular quasi-ballistic missile is concerned, now this replaces Prithvi, which was a legacy of the 80s. Not only is it a new and improved version of Prithvi in the sense that of its capabilities, but it's also half of or 1/3 of the cost. So it's also cost efficient. That's also something that is going to help India in bettering as far as military prowess is concerned.
Pooja, Jai Hind, and also Jai Hind to fellow panelists, and especially to General KJ Singh. He was my army commander when I was commanding my division, so I have great respect for him. And General KJ Singh has aptly brought out all the strategic issues extremely well, and he's also stated that India has been into missile development since many years. In fact, 1983 we started the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, and we have had many first in missile development program. And General KJ Singh himself being an armored man, he also knows that the Nag missile, etc., for the armor anti-tank. So many developments have taken place. So now coming on to this specific missile. Now, firstly, vis-a-vis China, their missile, that DF-12, and I was in fact analyzing the comparison. I think firstly I would say that our this missile, Pralay, generally is at par with Iskander missile, and rightfully it's been brought out that it's a quasi-missile, guided missile, and therefore it has a very low trajectory. Something what the Air Force does, nap of the earth flying. So with a very low trajectory, the first advantage is, and then it can be maneuvered during the flight itself. So that's another advantage, and and therefore the high speeds, the speed what we have achieved is extremely good, and therefore detection by the anti-missile system becomes very anti-ballistic missile system becomes very difficult. So therefore cost effectiveness, this is more cost effective than resorting to defensive measures, because with the MRV and multiple re-entry vehicle, advantage is you can target number of targets at the same time. So it is giving us a lot of advantage. So that is why I would say it is at par with Iskander, and the circular error of probability is also very good. In our case, it is almost less than 10 meters, and in the case of Iskander, it is almost 7. But as compared to DF-12 of China, the cost, the circular error of probability is almost 30 meters. Then warhead also, you have brought out, we are taking about 700 kg, their warhead is 400 kg. So in every manner, in comparison to China, we are better in this missile. Now coming on to the strategic advantages, it gives us a lot of deterrence, and therefore, any enemy, and especially in the tactical zone, because when we fight the Chinese along the line of actual control, our targets, and most will be, he has to perforce come into the Tibet Autonomous Region, and therefore most of the targets would be within this range. So therefore concentration areas, or command and controls, this thing, command control, then also his close by runways, deep penetration strike. So all these will give us a major advantage. So I feel it sends a very strong message to China that whether it is the missile capability, whether it is a naval capability, whether it is our armed forces capability, I think every manner we are, I would say, really at par, and infrastructure development has been going on so well. So probably we are today a match with China in the line of actual control, and the recent incidents, whatever has been happening, face-offs, and some kind of these embarrassment to him also, and at times tactical issues do result into strategic issues. But in the long run, I feel China will think 10 times before thinking of any military misadventure towards India, and therefore it's a very positive step that we have taken induction of 120 missiles both on the northern borders and on the western borders, Pooja.
Absolutely. And Lieutenant General KJ Singh, in isolation, this in itself, of course, is going to be a big advantage to India. But it's not just in isolation that we need to look at it, because India is building a rocket force, and put together that is going to be extremely significant, because it brings all of our assets under one particular command, so to say, one particular doctrine.
Firstly, my apologies and Sanjay Meston's apologies. We've been calling you Pooja, but you're Poonam. So apologies, Poonam. And
not a worry, sir. Please go ahead.
You are 100% right. The second artillery or rocket force is something which China had fielded, and China had got this DF series of missiles, Dongfeng, and these were proliferated to North Korea and Pakistan. So Pakistan also created some kind of a second artillery for itself. And we somehow had not invested in this. We had only Prithvi, which was not really, and then BrahMos came in. But now we are going to have a proper uh, rocket force which will have uh, our Pralay, it will have BrahMos, it will also have Smarch and Pinaka long-range rockets. So we'll have a range of options at different ranges, different targets, we'll be able to take care of. And incidentally, these whatever missiles are developed, uh, we have this wonderful now synergy which is building up, because it's nice to see proliferation and synergization of technologies.
Correct.
That is happening for me. That's wonderful, Poonam.
Correct, absolutely. And Patikrit Pain, as far as the messaging goes, both to China and Pakistan, we've seen the kind of commentary that has come to the fore from the Chinese side. They always say we want to have conversations, we want to have military dialogue, and there has to be peace along the line of actual control. But that's really not how it goes. And China cannot be taken at its word or at face value. We've seen that time and again. The kind of needless provocations that come to the fore from the PLA are innumerable instances that we can count on. So this kind of messaging that is being sent out, perhaps at least in the near future, should put all of that to rest.
Well, Poonam, of course, one of the reasons that China is trying to be a little soft now is because of their precarious condition because of the COVID and its subsequent impact on the economy, which is already in the doldrums within China. And secondly, in the larger context, if you see in the realm of revolution and military affairs, there are 4 or 5 areas where actually India has sent the message. Number one is the Agni Prime, which has the capacity to hit aircraft carriers. Number 2 was the anti-sat missile system, which was tested in 2019. The third, of course, is the intercontinental ballistic missile Agni 5, which was canister based at night, which was tested recently. And of course, in the realm of Prahar and Pralay, in areas of drone, a lot of development is being made by India, which is actually sending a message. See, in the realm of Pralay, the importance of this missile comes in the realm of the issue that we had, that there was a gap between India's intercontinental and intermediate range ballistic missile on one hand, and on the other hand, you had the Smosh and the Pinaka, which had a limited capacity or range in terms of 100 kilometer at most, 90 to 100. Even that is being tested. Some of this Pinaka missile at 100 or little above 100. On the other hand, you had missiles which could hit around, say, 700, 800 or kilometer above, except for the BrahMos. So Prahar and its derivative, which is Pralay, comes as to take care of the region in between, which is around 300 kilometers, 150 to 300 kilometers, because that is the range at the Tibetan Valley where a large amount of infrastructure build-up has been made by China. Now, interestingly, why the two generals have already mentioned, I just want to add to it. There are 2 specific elements because of which Pralay is very important. Number 1, the range factor. Number 2, it is canister based, because with which you can easily move it. You can use it at any point of time. Number 3, it uses a solid propellant against a liquid propellant that was used by Prithvi missiles. So Prithvi had certain tactical disadvantages. And 4, it is deeply maneuverable, which means it can actually maneuver and deviate from its original path to deflect from any incoming missile, which is an anti-satellite and SAM system, surface to air missile. So, in the realm of the larger context of messaging, this messaging is being done by India over the last 2 years, and China has understood it. So whether it is in terms of sea capability, or whether it is in terms of intermediate range capability, or whether it is about developing the drone capability, I think India has done the right kind of messaging. We have to understand there are 2 major wars which have happened in the recent past, from which India actually took lesson. One was the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, where drones were extensively used. In case of Ukraine war also, the conventional mechanized infantry going in can be completely countered by drone-based tactical operations and somebody using a tactical missile system, anti-tank missile system. The other is invariably, in case of Ukraine war, we have seen the kind of weapon system which is being used by both sides, where tactical level missile systems are of more utility than probably the strategic level ballistic missile. While the strategic missile systems, utility can never be undermined, it is at the tactical level, the missiles that invariably will be part of rocket force would perhaps include the Shaurya missile, the Prahar, the Pralay, the BrahMos, and of course the Pinaka and the Smosh, and a few other missile systems or rocket systems which are being developed right now.
Absolutely.
So over a period of time, yes, India has
it's a
done the
whole
right thing.
package really that the Defence Ministry is looking at, that our armed forces are looking at. And as far as this entire package goes, Major General Meston, it's not just about the military prowess of each one of those. It's also about the self-reliance in the defence sector that this government has been stressing upon. The Atmanirbharta factor also comes to the fore as far as this goes, because this is being developed by the DRDO.
Yeah, absolutely right. See, self-reliant Atmanirbhar Bharat is something which we have really taken off in the last few years. And I think today our military exports, hardware exports have gone up tremendously, and many countries today have started demanding, including our missiles. You are aware about BrahMos, even Philippines, etc. is asking, and even our ALH demand, everything. So the Atmanirbhar Bharat and self-reliant, India, in terms of the defense, has really shot up, and the biggest advantages today, the private sector and the public sector, they are doing extremely well. DRDO, for example, General KJ Singh also would vouch for that. When we were in service, they used to take many years, but this missile itself, which was conceived in 2015, was trial evaluated last year for 2 times in December 21, and now we are talking about induction. So in a very short span of time. So what I'm trying to say is that all institutions have been given a push, because it is not only the industry, it is also the decision making has gone up tremendously, because the bureaucratic approach has been done away with. Otherwise, file clearing used to take lots and lots of time. So overall, our speed enhancement, self-reliability has gone up in terms of everything. Decision making is so important an aspect, removing red tapeism and all these issues, and getting the good stuff from abroad, semiconductors and everything. So overall, like even this latest ship which we have inducted, 75% is indigenous. Our steel, everything was indigenous. So we are making a tremendous leap and bound, and today India is termed as one of the lead exports in military hardware, which is a great advantage. And therefore, again, all these are strong messages to both the adversaries. They know our capabilities, and they also know that India today has got the capability to export everywhere. And not only that, it gives us further revenue. And another major advantage is cost production in India is very cheap in comparison to the Western nations, because there the labor is an issue. In India, labor is no issue. Resources is no issue.
Correct.
Raw material is no issue. So many advantages are there. So therefore, cost effectiveness is much better. And therefore, everything is today heading towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I think General KJ Singh again would know that during Kargil, we had a lot of problems, even from Russia, getting small things, spare parts, loops, oils and greases. I was myself in the oil directorate in the army headquarters. So once we are self-reliant, self-reliant also means our diversity. Today we are not dependent on anyone. We have diversified, whether it is United States, whether it is Israel, with so many countries. But overall now today, transfer of technology and everything, setting up plants here, our thing has been, with tremendous impetus has been given, and a day is going to come in every manner we'll be self-reliant, and therefore tomorrow we can wage wars without even looking left or right to anyone.
Absolutely. So India is not only being at the forefront at fortifying itself and its own defenses, but is also trying to emerge as someone the whole world can look up to as far as the defense sector goes, and that really is the crux of this entire debate. Yes, this particular quasi-ballistic missile is a force multiplier for our armed forces and for our arsenal, but the messaging is extremely clear, and we hope that Pakistan and China are listening to it loud and clear. I thank you all, gentlemen, for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. We're shifting into a quick break here on this edition, but back with more on the other side, so don't go anywhere.
what was General Rawat's vision was, he was aware about the capability of the Chinese. The Chinese have a very good rocket force as well as a missile force. So before the war takes place, you'll find it that the Chinese will be using this force, both missile and rocket force, to create a maximum destruction in opponent country. Now to counter that and also to make sure that you punish Chinese, if they venture like this, you need a rocket force. There's no doubt. The rocket force is more required against Chinese rather than Pakistan. But against Chinese, that was the plan, that you must have the best of the missile, best of the rocket force. And we are building up combat. If you see Russia and Ukraine war also, the impact which Russia is now making on Ukraine is basically its rocket and missile force, which is going and hurting the energy infrastructure of Ukraine because they were not very successful on a ground operation. In fact, they are on a back foot as far as the East Ukraine is concerned. But what is the game changer as far as Russia is concerned? The missile and the rocket force which they are there, and they are able to destroy the complete energy sector of Ukraine as well as their military infrastructure. So that's why the rocket force is there to stay, and it is a vision for future. And the Russia-Ukraine war has already given us this indication that you must have the best of the missile and rockets, because the war will be fought with this before you join the ground forces. So I suppose we are unfolding it, and in time to come, you'll find India will be capable in a manner that we have one of the best missile and rocket force.
Amid the ongoing disturbance with China across the LAC, India is going to deploy Pralay-Ballistic missiles at the China border. The Defence Ministry has cleared the procurement of 120 such tactical ballistic missiles for the armed forces. Now, this particular missile has a range of 150 to 500 kilometers. The missile can defeat interceptors and it can change its path midway. Both China and Pakistan already have these tactical ballistical missiles. These are the details we have with us so far. Now, I do want to share with you more about what is in the plans. The missiles have been developed by the Defence Research and Development Organization. They've been further developed and their range can be extended significantly if the forces want it to be so. This is a missile system that actually started development back in 2015, and it was given a capability, the capability was given a push by the late General Bipin Rawat when he was the Chief of the Army Staff. Now, my colleague Akash is with us. Akash, the missiles have successfully tested twice last year, December 21st and December 22nd. Can you tell us more about this? I know it's a quasi-ballistic surface-to-surface missile. What does that mean, and what could its impact be in the India-China LAC front?
Right. So, Toya, first of all, both China and Pakistan have this sort of ballistic missiles, and this is very important in terms that when we have borders with both these countries, so now we are going to deploy these missiles at our borders as well fast. Secondly, talking about the particular project, so as you rightly mentioned, this particular missile system, in fact, the project was started in 2015. And after the successful trials and the tests that you have just mentioned, finally, Defense Ministry has given a green signal for the procurement, and we have been given to understand that initially we are, procuring 120 ballistic missiles for armed forces, specifically for the borders. And, Toya, it is important to mention because we know the kind of conditions that we have with China as of now, also the disturbance that we have faced in the, in this particular month, and also the disturbances that we have seen in past 2 years. So it is very important. Also, talking about this missile system, so this particular missile can take out targets from 150 to 500 kilometers, and the important factor is that it is extremely difficult for enemy to intercept this particular missile through interceptor, and this is what the features and functions are. Also, talking about this particular Defense Ministry's meeting where, this particular missile system was given a green signal. So officers are in opinion that as of now, we are working on our capabilities. We should focus on preparedness. And this is what we are seeing from last so many years when India is focusing on Atmanirbhar, when India is focusing on indigenous platforms. And we have seen how in both, Indian Air Force or in Indian Navy for that matter, and Indian Army. So all three forces are working on Atmanirbhar. Yes, it is an important step in terms of preparedness of Indian Army and the armed forces. And, it is very important to give a clear message that, India has now all the capabilities. India has a future-ready force, and also these capabilities where we can, defend our borders, where we can teach you a lesson in case you try something, a sort of invasion or any other thing.
Okay, Akash, stay with us. Major General A.K. Sivaj is also with us on the phone right now. He's a defense expert. Let me go over to him to understand more. General, thank you so much for joining us here at CNN News 18. General, if you could just explain to our audiences in a more detailed manner, what is India's capability right now when it comes to ballistic missiles, and how does the Pralay take us a step further? How does it equip us further?
As far as India ballistic missile capability is concerned, it is quite robust. You see, we have series of missiles. We have a Prithvi, which are there from short range till the medium range. Then we have a Agni, which is going up till about 5,000 kilometers, which we have.
Welcome back. Senior Congress leader and former Union Minister Salman Khurshid has stirred a massive controversy by linking the ongoing Bharat Jodo Yatra of Rahul Gandhi to the epic Ramayana. Congress leader Salman Khurshid compared Rahul Gandhi to Lord Ram and Congress workers to Bharat. While addressing a press conference, Khurshid yesterday said that, I quote, Lord Ram's Khadau reached very far. Lord Ram was unable to reach, but in similar ways, the Bharat Jodo Yatra is reaching where Rahul Gandhi is not, and Ram is coming, he says, when he was referring to Rahul Gandhi visiting Uttar Pradesh in the next leg of his Bharat Jodo Yatra. The BJP has now hit out at the Congress party, asking if Salman Khurshid would dare to compare anyone to any other religion's god. BJP also alleged that whenever elections are near, Rahul suddenly becomes a Chunavi Hindu.
हम तो ये मानते हैं कि वो रियली ये मान के चलिए कि वो सुपर ह्यूमन है। हम इतने जैकेट कोट पहने हुए हैं, वो टी शर्ट में निकलते हैं। बताइए, हम ठुठुर रहे हैं ठंड में, वो टी शर्ट पहने निकल रहे हैं। एक योगी जैसी, जब उन्होंने कही दिया मैं तपस्या में हूँ, तो वो तपस्या कर रहे हैं। आप तो जानते हैं भगवान राम की खड़ाव बहुत दूर तक जाती है, तो कभी कभी खड़ाव लेकर भी चलना पड़ता है। हमेशा भगवान राम नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं, तो खड़ाव लेकर चलना पड़ता है। तो भरत उनकी खड़ाव लेके चलते हैं। तो खड़ाव लेकर हम उत्तर प्रदेश में चले हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश में खड़ाव पहुंच गई है, तो राम जी भी पहुंचेंगे, ये हमारा विश्वास है।
रूपक रूपांतर, सिमिली तुलना नहीं हो सकती। भगवान की तुलना किसी से नहीं हो सकती। भगवान है, इंसान है। कितना भी अच्छा इंसान, बड़ा इंसान हो, वो बड़ा इंसान ही रहेगा, वो भगवान नहीं बनेगा। लेकिन जब एक अच्छा इंसान भगवान के नक्शे कदम पर चलता है, तो उसको भगवान का रूपक कहते हैं। भाजपा के प्रदेश अध्यक्ष ये भाषा इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तो उनसे आप पूछिए। मैंने तो ये भाषा इस्तेमाल नहीं करी। मैंने जो भाषा इस्तेमाल करी, उस भाषा के बारे में मैंने आपको बता दिया। नागपुर में आरएसएस के हेडक्वार्टर्स हैं। वो चाहते हैं देश को एक रास्ते चलाया जाए। ये देश मानता है किसी और रास्ते चलना। तो हम मानते हैं कि इन दोनों में आपस में जो खड़े होकर प्रतियोगिता है, उसमें अंततः देश उसी रास्ते को चुनेगा जो देश को स्वीकार है। नागपुर का रास्ता नहीं चुनेगा।
We're shifting focus now to news coming in. This is in the Tunisha death case. Remember, Tunisha Sharma, the 20-year-old actor who was found hanging on Saturday in her makeup room on her sets of the TV serial that she was shooting for. These visuals that are now on your screens are from that very day, in which you can see Tunisha Sharma and her ex-boyfriend and co-star Shizan Khan, who's now in custody in that particular video. We're given to understand that this CCTV footage is from the hospital, from the day where Tunisha Sharma was found hanging in her makeup room. You can see 3 people there along with Shizan Khan taking her to the hospital, where they take her inside the particular hospital. Mihir, my colleague, is now joining us for more on this. Mihir, what more details can you share with us?
Absolutely, we have exclusive access to the CCTV in which we can see that there are two people who are carrying the body of Tanisha after the incident. Now, this was on the set of the particular show where she was shooting, and after some time she went to the particular makeup room that was assigned to her, and it was there that she committed suicide. This is something which comes out after the crew discovered there was something amiss. They could not reach out to her. She was not responding to the crew, which was trying to get inside that particular makeup room, and they felt that there's something wrong. And they found out when they opened that door, they found out that her body was hanging on that particular equipment that was lying in that in that makeup room. It was then these two people, including we can see Shisan, who's also the accused in this particular case, who is behind the bars, is being investigated by the police, actually was part of carrying her out from that makeup room. And we understand that from here she was rushed to the hospital. She was declared dead on arrival. But this is the CCTV footage which establishes that at a point in time, the crew and the members and people who are closely working with her on that particular serial discovered that she was not responding and found out that her body was hanging. They tried to immediately remove that body from that particular equipment where it was lying, and then she was rushed to the hospital. So this is quite telling of the fact that while there was some amount of issues between the two, if they had broken up also, there was a great amount of concern from Shezan, who actually accompanied the person along with him to help them out to get the body outside and rush her to the hospital. And one can see in the footage, Shezan is very much present while they are climbing those stairs with somebody carrying Tanisha in their hands, and they are trying to see if they can reach out to some sort of medical practitioner there, or they eventually, from what the narration is given in the FIR, that she was rushed to the hospital by people on the crew, including Shezan. So here is a proof of that, which really talks about how she was taken out from that particular makeup room and then rushed to the hospital. This is the moment when they had taken out the body, and they were taking her to the hospital now to understand what had happened.
Absolutely, and it was just a few minutes ago, in fact, where the last rites were conducted of Tunisha Sharma. Now, Shizan continues to be in custody, Mihir, and as far as the investigation goes, initially he wasn't quite cooperating with the police, is what the investigating agencies had told you. Now, this video is definitely going to throw some more light as far as the investigation goes.
Yes, and the police has access to this video. In fact, this has quite telling evidence that he, even after there was a breakup, there was definitely some amount of concern regarding Tanisha's well-being, and we can see very concerned Shezan in this, rushing her to some sort of medical help that she can get at this point. Now, as far as the investigation is concerned, yes, it is true that initially sources did tell us that he was not cooperating in the investigation, but there were certain other aspects that came to light today through sources at the police, which revealed that, during the questioning and the extensive questioning, Shisan also broke down at a point. He regretted that his friend is no more in this world. Also for the fact that he is revealed that and admitted to the police that, yes, they were in a relationship, and yes, they had broken up 15 days before. Also citing reasons why he chose to break up with Tanisha, and the reason being, one reason being the religion aspect of it, and the kind of attention the Shraddha Walkar case got and the kind of details that were coming in out of that really scared him and made him think about the future of this relationship with Tanisha, and that's why he chose to end this relationship. However, it had a different implication and impact on Tanisha altogether, and one could see that the family is also alleging at this point that Shishan is very much responsible for what's happened to Tanisha. In fact, the mother has given an extensive video statement saying that she was aware of the fact, and this is something the daughter confided into, saying that she was cheated, she was promised marriage, and that was never going to happen. And not only that, he was also having linkages with other women while he was seeing Tanisha is also another allegation leveled by the family. Now that needs to be investigated, apart from the all-important fact that whether he in any ways in his capacity instigated her to that extent or put that kind of pressure on her, say emotionally or otherwise, that she took this drastic decision is something the police is trying to dig deep into. At this point, we understand, and this is also coming from the lawyers of Shishan, is that the police has not found any evidence which could pinpoint the abetment angle. However, they have the digital devices of Tanisha as well as Shishan with them, and has been sent for forensic analysis because police has reason to believe that there could be some documents, there could be some chats or some other data that has been deleted to cover up or to hide the truth behind this, and that's what the police is trying to get into and to find out is what the investigation is all about. Also, one aspect we've seen in this investigation is how meticulous and how careful the police is in this particular high-profile investigation of this television actress who ended her life in this fashion. The police is videographing every aspect of this particular investigation right from the autopsy. In fact, the police has made several visits to the crime scene and making sure that every part and corner of that particular makeup room where the incident took place is being captured on camera. They have extensively spoken to several of the people who worked with Tanisha, known her and known anything about the relationship that they were having and the kind of issues and stress that the relationship was facing. So this is all apart from interrogating the main accused in this particular case, the co-star of Tanisha, who's under police custody at this point. Tomorrow, what we know is that the police custody ends. So it is important for the police to really gather as much as evidence and as much as reason to go in front of the court tomorrow to find to really state whether they want to extend this custody or not. It will be all important for the police to get crucial evidence before this, and at this point the police is trying to dig deep into this entire investigation through various means, interrogation, speaking to the family, questioning the accused in this case, also through finding out more in the digital device that they have access to through forensic analysis, and of course the report of the autopsy, which could give more clarity to the police as to what could be the cause. The initial findings of this report is that the death did happen due to hanging, but whether there is more to it is something for the investigation to unearth, and that's what the police is working in the direction to unearth the truth behind the allegations leveled by the family at this point of abetment. It's a very serious charge, but conviction in these kind of cases is very difficult unless the police has any concrete evidence to prove that there was instigation by means of emotional pressure or otherwise, and that kind of evidence will be crucial for the police, and that is something the police at this point is investigating.
Absolutely. The investigation is on. Shishan was granted 4 days in custody for the police. The interrogation is on of several other crew members and cast as well to piece together the circumstances which led to Tanisha being found hanging in her makeup room on December 24th, which is the Saturday gone by. We'll keep a track of the investigation in this particular case. For the moment, Mihir, thank you so much for getting us the latest. Time for a quick break on this edition. Back in just a few minutes. Do stay tuned.
With the ongoing disturbance with China across the LAC, India is going to deploy Pralay-Ballistic missiles at the China border. The Defence Ministry has cleared the procurement of 120 such tactical ballistic missiles for the armed forces. Now, this particular missile has a range of 150 to 500 kilometers. The missile can defeat interceptors and it can change its path midway. Both China and Pakistan already have these tactical ballistical missiles. These are the details we have with us so far. Now, I do want to share with you more about what is in the plans. The missiles have been developed by the Defence Research and Development Organization. They've been further developed and their range can be extended significantly if the forces want it to be so. This is a missile system that actually started development back in 2015. And it was given a capability, the capability was given a push by the late General Bipin Rawat when he was the Chief of the Army Staff. Now, my colleague Akash is with us. Akash, the missiles have successfully tested twice last year, December 21st and December 22nd. Can you tell us more about this? I know it's a quasi-ballistic surface-to-surface missile. What does that mean and what could its impact be in the India-China LAC front?
Right. So, Toya, first of all, both China and Pakistan have this sort of ballistic missiles, and this is very important in terms that when we have borders with both these countries, so now we are going to deploy these missiles at our borders as well fast. Secondly, talking about the particular project, so as you rightly mentioned, this particular missile system, in fact, the project was started in 2015. And after the successful trials and the tests that you have just mentioned, finally, Defense Ministry has given a green signal for the procurement. And we have been given to understand that initially we are, procuring 120 ballistic missiles for armed forces, specifically for the borders. And, Toya, it is important to mention because we know the kind of conditions that we have with China as of now, also the disturbance that we have faced in the, in this particular month. And also the disturbances that we have seen in past 2 years. So it is very important. Also, talking about this missile system, so this particular missile can take out targets from 150 to 500 kilometers. And the important factor is that it is extremely difficult for enemy to intercept this particular missile through interceptor. And this is what the features and functions are. Also, talking about this particular Defense Ministry's meeting where, this particular missile system was given a green signal. So officers are in opinion that as of now, we are working on our capabilities. We should focus on preparedness. And this is what we are seeing from last so many years when India is focusing on Atmanirbhar, when India is focusing on indigenous platforms. And we have seen how in both, Indian Air Force or in Indian Navy for that matter, and Indian Army. So all three forces are working on Atmanirbhar. Yes, it is an important step in terms of preparedness of Indian Army and the armed forces. And, it is very important to give a clear message that, India has now all the capabilities. India has a future-ready force and also these capabilities where we can, defend our borders, where we can teach you a lesson in case you try something, a sort of invasion or any other thing.
Okay, Akash, stay with us. Major General A.K. Sivaj is also with us on the phone right now. He's a defense expert. Let me go over to him to understand more. General, thank you so much for joining us here at CNN News 18. General, if you could just explain to our audiences in a more detailed manner, what is India's capability right now when it comes to ballistic missiles, and how does the Pralay take us a step further? How does it equip us further?
As far as India ballistic missile capability is concerned, it is quite robust. You see, we have series of missiles. We have a Prithvi, which are there from short range till the medium range. Then we have a Agni, which is going up till about 5,000 kilometers, which we have tested, Agni 5. And these are all nuclear capable missiles. But this induction of Pralay is a game changer. Because you see, the issue is it has a range of between 150 to 500. So it is a short range ballistic missile. And the advantage of this is that One is that it cannot be intercepted. Second thing is very difficult to detect. Third thing is the accuracy is almost 99%. And fourth thing is that it can be fired in all type of weather condition as well as night. And that's why it is a game changer. And it is compared to a Iskander missile which Russians are using against Ukraine. But the point is, it is better than that. The fact is that it can't be intercepted and it can fire in all type of weather condition. It gives edge over even Iskander. But all said and done, India is very well prepared. As far as the missile, you can say our life system is concerned and the way we have developed missile, this is creditable starting from Prithvi going up till Pralay, then going to Agni. So you are covering almost from 50 kilometer to almost 5,000 kilometer. And in addition to that, you have also BrahMos. BrahMos is again a nuclear capable missile, which is a joint venture between India and Russia. This is a game changer, force multiplier. A lot of countries have asked for it, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Africa, because that is the best intercontinental ballistic missile is there. But the point is, as far as the Pralay is concerned, it will make tremendous difference. And that's why we are now deploying this on the Chinese border. So the message is very clear as far as Chinese are concerned, that we are well prepared, we have a capability and capacity, and we'll hit you where it hurts you. And not only that, against Chinese, we are also deploying against Pakistani. 120 Pralay missiles have been already given order, and now they will be deployed both northern and western border.
Welcome back. Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju has slammed Sonia Gandhi for accusing the government of delegitimizing the judiciary. He said that it was her Congress party which in the past has tried to gain control over the judiciary through various steps, including the appointment of the Chief Justice of India, superseding several more senior judges. But the executive versus judiciary fight is only escalating, with Kiran Rijiju making more and more statements as far as delay in justice is concerned. Subsequent war of words erupted after Kiran Rijiju came out and said that justice was being delayed in the country due to the lackadaisical attitude of a few lawyers and judges. CNN News 18 spoke exclusively to former Law Minister Kapil Sibal and many other jurists as well, who came out and said that Rijiju has some strange ideas about the court, and politicians who make a lot of money should also be held accountable.
कई हजार करोड़ों का ये प्रपोजल आए हैं, तो मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हमने इतना जुडिशरी को ताकतवर बनाने के लिए काम किए हैं, और आप अपने सोर्सेस से पता कर सकते हैं कि क्या क्या काम किए हैं, क्योंकि बहुत विस्तार से काम हुआ है। और साथ साथ जुडिशरी को मजबूत बनाए रखने के लिए हमने जुडिशरी को पूरा सम्मान भी दिया। लेकिन कभी कभी आपको सुनने मिलता है कि सरकार और जुडिशरी के बीच में टेंशन है, विवाद है और तालमेल नहीं है। कभी कभी ऐसे भी सुनने में आता है कि हमने जुडिशरी का जो अथॉरिटी को अपने कब्जे में लेने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं। कभी कभी पॉलिटिकल स्टेटमेंट आते हैं, तो हमारे लिए कमिटेड जुडिशरी फॉर द कंट्री, और कुछ लोगों के लिए कमिटेड जुडिशरी मतलब उनके पार्टी के प्रति कमिटेड होना चाहिए। लेकिन सवाल तब उठता है कि जब कोई संविधान को अपने अनुकूल उसको मोड़ने का कोशिश करते हैं तो प्रॉब्लम होता है। मैंने कॉलेजियम का सिस्टम का बात उठाया था। इसलिए जज जो काम करते हैं वो पब्लिक वोटिंग तो नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन पब्लिक ओपिनियन में जरूर स्क्रूटनी होने वाला है। सबसे पहले सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जो हमारे सीनियर जजेस हैं, चीफ जस्टिस होते हैं, बाकी सीनियर जजेस होते हैं, और हाई कोर्ट्स में या लोअर कोर्ट्स में सब जजों को मैंने अपने तरफ से बहुत ही खुले मन से हमने कहा। लेकिन दुख की बात यह है कि कभी कभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कुछ वकील ऐसे होते हैं उनका तुरंत डेट लग जाता है। कुछ वकील एक अपीयरेंस में 30 लाख 40 लाख चार्ज करते हैं और कुछ वकील को काम ही नहीं मिलते हैं। ऐसा क्यों? कानून तो सबने पढ़ा है, लेकिन कुछ लोग ऐसा होते हैं कि बड़े बड़े केस उसी के पास आते हैं और वो बैठे बैठे करोड़ों का कमाई करते हैं। जो बड़े वकील होते हैं वो भी ये कोशिश करें कि छोटे छोटे जो जूनियर हैं, नए नए वकालत कर रहे हैं, उनको उभरने का मौका दें। पूरा कब्जा करके मत बैठिए, केस बांटिए, लोगों को सिखाइए, उसको भी उठने दीजिए।
Law minister has also complained about the fact that there are a couple of small number of big lawyers. They make a lot of money, which means that the smaller ones don't get a chance. And then also the fact is that if people want to go, clients want to go, they are sometimes forced having to pay these hefty fees. Your response to that, sir?
Well, I think that the next time a client wants to decide which lawyer to go to, he must ask Mr. Riju, the law minister, as to who he should go to. I guess it's the client's choice he wants to go to. And nobody forces any client to pay X, Y, or Z. And of course, there are a small number of politicians who also make a lot of money. And Mr. Riju must also make sure that they are accountable. And why should only a few people make money in politics? We'll let everybody make money.
So, Mr. Sibal, you are a veteran in the field, obviously.
I don't expect such statements from the law minister, quite frankly. He has some strange ideas about the court and about how court functions and what the duties of a judge are. And I think that he needs to come to court to understand. And maybe he should, spend a day in court and see how judges work, the kind of pressure they are in. Judges are unable to respond to public statements made by public functionaries, and to make public statements of this nature where the judge can't respond actually disturbs the balance which is required for a functioning democracy.
Well, I think it's not a very the way to address another constitutional institution. I think it's a generalization of the kind which is most unwelcome, and the law minister should be a little more careful. In the past, law ministers have had to face contempt of court proceedings.
Courts are very important role to initiate the dialogue. So this is initiation of the dialogue, which will bring in the dialectics of change and eventually move into a direction where we'll be better placed than what we were at one point of time. So they have a very important role. And where personal law, you mentioned personal laws are concerned, we are in a very surcharged environment, unfortunately. I don't see the reason for it being surcharged. There's a way, as I said, you see, for dialogue, there has to be etiquette. Etiquette is very important. And lack of etiquette robs dialogue of all its value because it degenerates into abuse. What actually transpires in this kind of sermonizing is not conversation. This is some kind of the dicta of a person assuming that he's got the right to speak and what he speaks alone is right. This approach is completely wrong.
Context that the law minister was trying to give in here, and how do you see the views of Union Law Minister?
So I think the law minister is back to what he was saying a few weeks ago. He's questioning the collegium system, and he's been doing that quite often. The other thing which he talked about was delays and how lawyers and judges are adding to delays. Now, I would have expected a comment from a person who has practiced law, who has worked within the system. If somebody's practiced within the law, worked within the system, any advice, any criticism, or any suggestions are welcome. But unfortunately, we have a law minister, though qualified in the law, has never practiced as a lawyer. So if you don't have that fundamental understanding of how courts work and the pressures on courts and the systems and the fact that judges are not cleared, names are not cleared by the courts, that in judicial infrastructure is not being added, then it leads to a situation that the comments are not based in fact, reality, or an understanding of the system.
Shifting focus now to India's COVID-19 fight back. Amid a global surge in COVID-19 cases, India is gearing up to prevent another wave. Keeping the prevention of spread of the virus in mind, all states today conducted mock drills at COVID-dedicated hospitals. The main motive of the mock drills was to ensure the readiness of the nation's health infrastructure, including the availability of hospital beds and medical oxygen and several more infrastructural needs. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia personally oversaw these mock drills at the Safdarjung Hospital here in the national capital.
Part of the nationwide mock drill, the same has to be conducted in the Noida district as well, and the health minister of the state, Mr. Brijesh Pathak, he has already issued the guidelines. He has directed the CMOs of different districts at how at about close to 12 p.m. the same has to be conducted in a calibrated manner, and they are also going to check the medical equipments as well. They are going to take stock of the medicines, the drug store as well. At the same time, they are going to check the number of vehicles available during the time of the emergency, be it ambulances, also the ventilators, oximeters. So everything which is utilized or which could be a part of the mock drill is going to be tested today as a part of the nationwide mock drill that needs to be conducted.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Viewpoint. I'm Anand Narasimhan. Cut money and corruption rear their ugly head yet again in Bengal, where after toilets, Ayushman Bharat, ration cards and Manrega, it is yet another central scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that is at the center of a massive scam. After freezing funds back in December 2021, citing irregularities, the centre approved in November 2022 13,000 crore rupees for the completion of the targeted 34.88 lakh plus homes with a 2026 deadline. But here's what's surfaced. Nearly one-third of the total list of beneficiaries is furji or fake. Yes, 17 lakh backdoor entries have been deleted after verification. The cut money syndrome is rampant pan Bengal. Legitimate beneficiaries are up in arms after being denied their due. There are instances where there are people clearly coming out and saying that Trinamool Congress members came and asked for cut money for their name to be included in the list. More importantly, details of those who raised their voice being threatened into silence are also surfacing. Have a look at this detailed ground investigation by Kamalika.
In East Mednipur, we found several people who made it to the list of beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. But here's the twist. They currently live in big, lavish houses, but are also in the running for a scheme providing homes to the rural poor.
You can see behind